Have you ever wondered how the land we now know as Palestine came to be? Let's take a step back, way back, into the medieval era where the first seeds of Palestine's identity were sown. The 11th century was a tumultuous time in the region. It was marked by the arrival of a new force, the Crusaders. These were Christian warriors from Europe who launched a series of religious wars aiming to reclaim the Holy Land from Islamic rule. Their conquest was successful and they established a Latin Christian state known as the Kingdom of Jerusalem. This kingdom, though short-lived, played a pivotal role in shaping the cultural and religious landscape of the region. It was a melting pot of different cultures, religions and languages, and the epicenter of numerous conflicts and power struggles. However, the Kingdom of Jerusalem was not to last. Less than 100 years after its establishment, a powerful figure emerged from the east, a man known as Saladin. Saladin was a Muslim military leader who became renowned for his strategic brilliance and chivalrous conduct. He led a successful campaign against the Crusaders, culminating in the iconic Battle of Hattin in the late 12th century. This decisive victory marked the end of the Kingdom of Jerusalem and the beginning of Muslim rule. Under Saladin, the region underwent a transformation. He ushered in an era of relative peace and prosperity, fostering an environment where art, science, and culture could flourish. He also implemented policies that allowed for religious freedom and coexistence, setting a precedent for the region's diverse and complex religious landscape. The birth of Palestine was a product of these momentous events, a crossroads of cultures, religions, and empires. Its identity was forged in the fires of conflict and conquest, shaped by the hands of diverse peoples and rulers. So the medieval period saw the birth and shaping of Palestine, setting the stage for the events to follow. But what happened when the mighty Ottoman Empire set its sights on Palestine? Well, in the early 16th century, the Ottoman Turks, under the leadership of Sultan Selim I, swept through the region, bringing Palestine under their control. This marked the start of a period that would last for over 4 centuries, right up until the First World War. Under Ottoman rule, Palestine was largely administered as part of the province of Damascus and later as a separate province. The Ottomans introduced a number of significant administrative changes, including a land registration system that was intended to increase tax revenues. However, this system also led to the displacement of many local farmers who were unable to prove their ownership of the land they worked on. Society under the Ottomans was diverse, with a mix of religions and cultures. The majority of the population was Muslim, but there were also significant Christian and Jewish communities. The Ottomans generally allowed these communities to govern themselves according to their own religious laws, which contributed to a sense of relative religious freedom during this period. Towards the end of Ottoman rule in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Palestine began to see increased Jewish immigration. This was driven in part by the rise of Zionism, a nationalist movement that sought a homeland for the Jewish people. At the same time, there was also significant Arab nationalist sentiment, which would later play a key role in shaping the region's future. Despite the challenges and changes of this period, under Ottoman rule, Palestine developed into a complex society with a rich tapestry of cultures and religions. The legacy of this period is still visible today in the diverse communities that call Palestine home and in the ongoing debates about land ownership and national identity. Thus, under Ottoman rule, Palestine became a melting pot of cultures and religions. How did a British mandate impact the land and its people? That's the question we're delving into now. The British Mandate period, which spanned from 1920 to 1948, was a time of significant change for Palestine. This era kicked off with the Balfour Declaration in November 1917. Authored by British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, this public statement announced the British government's support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. However, the declaration also stipulated that nothing should be done to prejudice the rights of existing non-Jewish communities. This seemingly contradictory statement set the stage for a complex and tumultuous period in Palestine's history. On one hand, the Balfour Declaration galvanized the Zionist movement, leading to increased Jewish immigration to Palestine. On the other hand, it sparked a rise in Arab nationalism as the Arab majority felt their rights and their homeland were being threatened. By the mid-1920s, the relationship between Arabs and Jews had become increasingly strained. The influx of Jewish immigrants, coupled with the British administration's perceived favoritism towards these newcomers, led to growing resentment among the Arab population. This tension often erupted into violence, such as the riots of 1929 and the Arab Revolt of 1936 to 1939. In response to these conflicts, the British government tried to appease both sides with various policy changes and promises. However, these measures often only served to increase the mistrust and animosity between Arabs and Jews. By the end of the Mandate period, the land of Palestine had become a hotbed of conflict, with no clear solution in sight. The British Mandate period was a pivotal chapter in Palestine's history. It brought about significant demographic changes and laid the groundwork for many of the conflicts that would follow. Yet, it was also a time of cultural and political awakening for the Palestinian people, who began to assert their national identity and demand their rights. Despite the mounting tensions, Palestine's destiny was yet to take another turn. How did the birth of a new nation change the face of Palestine forever? This question takes us to the mid-20th century, when the world witnessed the emergence of a new nation, Israel, right in the heart of the Middle East. In the aftermath of World War II, the United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into two separate states, one for the Jewish people and one for the Arab Palestinians, with Jerusalem under international administration. The Jewish community, represented by the Jewish Agency, accepted the plan, while the Arab League and Palestinian Arab leaders rejected it. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. Almost immediately, neighboring Arab states, including Egypt, Syria, Jordan, and Iraq, launched a military intervention, marking the beginning of the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. The war ended in 1949 with armistice agreements between Israel and its neighboring Arab states. However, the end of the war did not mean the end of the conflict. The war led to a significant displacement of people. An estimated 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes, an event known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic. Israel's birth dramatically changed the demographic and geopolitical landscape of the region. With the influx of Jewish immigrants from around the world, the Jewish population in Israel rose dramatically. At the same time, a significant number of Palestinians became refugees, leading to a major shift in the region's demographic balance. The creation of Israel also significantly altered the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. It not only created a Jewish state in a predominantly Arab region, but also sparked a series of conflicts between Israel and its Arab neighbors, conflicts that continue to this day. With the creation of Israel, the map of Palestine was redrawn, but not without conflict and controversy. The birth of Israel marked a significant moment in the history of Palestine and the wider Middle East, one that continues to shape the region's political, social, and cultural landscape. What does Palestine look like in the modern era? The modern era of Palestine is marked by notable events and agreements that have shaped its current landscape. The Six-Day War in 1967, for instance, dramatically altered the physical and political geography of the region. In less than a week, Israel captured the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This event intensified the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, bringing it to the forefront of global attention. Fast forward to the early 90s, and we find the Oslo Accords. These were a series of agreements between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO. The accords aimed to accomplish a mutual recognition between the two parties and the establishment of a Palestinian interim self-government in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. A promising step, yet peace remained elusive. The current state of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is fraught with tension, marked by periodic escalations of violence and a deep-seated mutual distrust. The quest for a two-state solution, a state for Palestinians living side by side in peace with Israel, is still ongoing. However, it's a journey fraught with numerous obstacles, including issues around Israeli settlements, security concerns, and the status of Jerusalem. Despite these challenges, the spirit of resilience is palpable in modern-day Palestine. Its people continue to strive for their right to self-determination amidst a complex and charged political landscape. The story of Palestine today is one of hope and struggle, of a people yearning for peace and justice. As we see, the history of Palestine is a complex tapestry of events and influences, a history that continues to unfold.